All right. Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. I'm Anna, CEO and founder of Formulated by, home of DSS, and I have a great guest with me, but we're going to actually wait for a couple minutes for you guys to get here. So I'm going to go ahead and mute myself, and we're going to hang out just for about a minute or two, and then we're going to jump right into the conversation. All right. Well, I think it's time that we could go ahead and dive right in. Most of you know, I'm Anna, and I'm streaming right from the heart of Miami in the design district from our headquarters for Formulated by and DSS. And today I'm really excited to welcome Dr. June Andrews. And she recently transitioned from leading the Style Discover team at Stitch Fix to being a senior director of search scientist teams at Nike. And she also led monitoring and diagnostics platform team for GE's airplane engines in use today. That's super awesome. And this week, she also presented an outstanding session on scaling and transforming Stitch Fix's visibility into what people will love at our DSS at Enterprise track at Transform World. So it was really great to see that presentation. And in case you missed it, it's available on demand. One of our team members will share it in a second. I'm really excited to have you here, June. Hopefully, can I call you June or should I call you Dr. Andrews? June is cool. All right, awesome.
June will work.
Go ahead. So maybe we could start with you kind of telling me. I know that I did an introduction for you and it's really impressive, but maybe you could tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in data science, because we really hear such different backgrounds here. It's super interesting.
I can definitely share the few thoughts that put me on this path. Oh gosh, what was it? Back in 2004, 2003. Somewhere in the early 2000s, I did an internship at a supercomputing center. And supercomputing was where the state-of-the-art computations were being done, where the state-of-the-art applications were being done. And we'd have this lunch and learn at the end of each week, where each team would present what they were working on. So we saw presentations on that was the anthrax summer of modeling anthrax and how you can fight those types of molecules. Presentations on background radiation, and this was when they were still like really nailing down those first 6 seconds of the Big Bang. And the project I was working on was the data transfer for the first robotic brain surgeries coming out of the East Coast and transferring that data to more intense computational centers across the US. Oh my gosh, what were some of the other ones? If you ever want to know where your earthquake standards come from, you have to run simulations of what type of earthquakes are going to bounce around California, and that informs the building standards. There's also so it was a long list. And at the end of the summer, I sat down and was like, oh, these are all amazing. I want to contribute to all of them. I was like, okay, so either I can get a degree in biomedics, geology, astrophysics, or like that would take a long time just to be qualified to contribute to those applications. Or if I developed a really solid foundation in computation and mathematics, then I could contribute to all these applications. And that's really been the foundation for what I have to offer to a lot of these applications, and the unifying thread behind working on social networks, airplane engines, supply chain for fashion, with that computation and mathematics, that gives me the technical abilities to move these spaces forward. And then if you combine that with some of the quote unquote softer skills that you have in data science of business acumen, ability to construct large teams and collaborate and communicate effectively, then that's where I've really been pushing my career.
Cool. No, that's thank you for sharing that. And I think, that's awesome that an internship changed your whole career. Like you're like, this is what I want to do. And that's awesome to hear. And I know that you were just recently at Stitch Fix. I know you from there. I know you've spoken at a couple other, we've been in touch and stuff. So you led a team of 6 machine learning engineers and data scientists there. Maybe you could share a little bit about for your recipe for a successful career in data science and how to actually build a successful team, because I feel like that's really hard for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I'm currently in that process. We've got 6 open roles on my team. So if anyone's in data science and interested in search or ML, 6 openings all at once. Building a team. The recipe there, it does have to change for the different companies and the different environments, but there's a couple of commonalities I like to hold front of mind as I'm building these teams is know what you're building for, like know what you're hiring for, know what the team needs to do. And if you can really nail down, okay, this is the team that it will take in order to make this space successful, then you can start to take a really complex problem and instead of trying to tackle it with give me 10 unicorns, because somewhere between 10 unicorns will be powerful enough to definitely get the job done. You make your life much more feasible on building that team of, okay, you know what, I need someone who's really good at this, and that skill set A is going to play off a skill set B, is going to play off skill set C, and all of these are going to come together in a way that then tackles the entire space. And that allows you to build these teams much faster, much more efficiently. And at the end of the day, folks are much happier. Like if you set expectations correctly, that, you know what, I need you to hone your craft in this area. If you got good alignment on expectations, that's also a good recipe for success. But the other thing I look for in the folks that I'm investing in is I look for, do they invest in others? Are the investments I make in this person then going to ripple around? And one of the best questions to get to the heart of that is, tell me about the last person you helped. And I expect not just tech leads, not just managers, but also ICs to have substantial answers to that question. If they don't have an answer to that question, you know that this is, you're not going to get that team environment where they're helping up-level each other. The other thing I look for, and this doesn't have to be uniform, not everyone needs to have this, but I get a special sense of joy when I find this, is finding the folks that are hungry. That there's bringing in folks who can really help with what you need today, and then there's giving them access to the problems and the spaces and what we have to work with in the data science space. And if you put someone who's hungry in front of data, they just start to capture your imagination on where things can go.
Yeah, no, that's really neat. I think you made some really great points. Thank you for sharing that outlook. And I think as you were talking about up-leveling and helping each other, can you give any specific advice for women who are trying to get into the data science career?
Okay, women getting into data science. I'm really happy to see the progress that we've seen over the course of my career in that. I would challenge the question of going beyond like getting into the field to, great, it's easy to get into the field. It's hard to then get a job that pays well, that you enjoy, and that's even harder to get a career, and then it's even harder to accelerate that career. So I would expand the question of what's my advice for women going after that career is to think about it in stages. And to one of the mantras I use to get through those stages is design for tomorrow, build for today. So your build for today might be just getting into the field, but design, what's the next stage of, okay, you got into the field, you got a boot camp, you got a degree, you just took an online class, but design for what's the next stage. What's the type of job that you want to be having? What's the type of job that's really going to start to help you enjoy being in the field? And then if you're building for that job, then designing for the next stage of how is that job going to tie into a broader career. So think of those 4 stages, and yeah, you got to work your way through each one, but have a line of sight to how do you get to the next one.
Great. No, thank you so much for sharing that. Is there a blog post you have on those stages or anything like that we could share?
No,
sorry. I think you should write one if you don't have one. I think that's really great advice, because I feel like a lot of people, even some of the younger folks that we have on our team, that it's kind of hard to see like the bigger picture, right? Because you're so young and it's hard to see ahead. So I think that's a really good way to partition it into different pieces, right? I think also I know that this week that I really enjoyed your presentation, but some folks have not seen it. So maybe you could talk a little bit about what you talked about at the Transform track. Maybe just a tiny little bit of abstract of what you talked about, so then people can check it out as well, because it was such a great presentation.
One of the questions I like to ask when giving a presentation is, why does this matter? Why does this matter? And just be like that little 5-year-old that asks why 20 times. Because at some point you get down to the deep core root of it. And why did scaling and transforming Stitch Fix's visibility into what folks love matter? Like, why did our approach matter? And the punchline is, yes, we developed a great recommender system that could be used at different stages of setting company strategy for figuring out what folks will love. Everything from predicting if this shirt will land well to should I be investing in V-necks, to should I be investing in this brand? Should I be investing in these vendors? Should I be investing in these aesthetics? And the reason that matters is it takes so much effort and so much work to build these recommender systems, to build this data science, to get this data to a point that we're using it, is that I like to borrow, again, this is the nature of data science, borrow from everywhere, but I like to borrow from the reduce, reuse, recycle approach that we see in sustainability in our environment. And there is something there to be taken into account of how we design our models. If we change the parameterizations of our models or our recommender systems, how we set them up in a way that we can have those really expensive daily jobs that are retraining models that take 24 hours and are burning AWS instances like crazy, can we take those models and reuse them in as many decision points as possible? Can we reuse those models in a variety of different ways? And in doing so, one, obviously lower our improve our ROI of computational cost and energy expenditure to business value. But then also what we're doing is we're opening up access to ML-informed decision-making, to questions that would have been not big enough to justify having these big ML teams and these big ML models built just for them. So we're, it's almost like we went through this period of data literacy, of getting folks access to the data. And now we're hitting this point where, can we make these ML models available so that we've got ML literacy, where folks can just take the output of these models and reuse them in all of those intense decisions that happen across the supply chain, and help up-level every aspect of the supply chain.
Cool. I mean, that's definitely super awesome. I think, and you could probably, you only had 6 people on your team to do all of those things. So I think that's, and that's not a really big team. So I mean, kudos to you guys. You did an amazing job and built up. I mean, I feel like you really made, the algorithms that you guys were working on really made the product what it is, right? And the company what it is. So that's awesome. And I'm sure you're going to do that at your next company as well. So they're very lucky to have you, June. But we are getting to the end of our time. I know you're hiring. You said you're hiring 6 people, right? So maybe if you want to share with us a link to that, and we could share with all the folks watching. So I'm sure there's some people that may be applying to work with you and learn from you as well. So, and don't forget to check out the presentation that June just gave at our enterprise track at VB Transform World. It's been shared, so click on that. It's free on demand. And yeah, I hope all of you have a wonderful rest of the week. And you too, June. It's been really, really awesome to have you.
Thanks for having me, Anna.
Thanks.
All the best, all.